Welcome back, everyone, to Battle for the Rift by GiantSlayer as we move into our second series of the day, as it's going to be an all-Spanish affair with Team Queso taking on Qlash. Now, for me, this is an exciting match because we have our grand finalists, our winners of the Baron fight that just happened a few weeks back in the form of Team Queso going up against their countrymen here, who Qlash, unfortunately, didn't even make it into the playoffs of that event. But we've had some roster changes, and I'm curious to see how they're going to work out. I'm Jason Kaplan. I'm still the host here, luckily. Did not get fired after the first series, so must have been doing something right. But two men who have been doing things extremely right here is Maxman Excoundrel. And Max, as we did do Baron fight together, Queso. I'm curious, are they going to keep coming hot here in this event?
I think so. We saw them in the finals, right? They won with Seraphine. You know me. Jason, we play a lot. I play Seraphine a lot, man. So I'm hoping to see the Seraphine come out once again from Memorize. I would be a big fan, but yeah, I think that clearly throughout the past 2 months, I think that Team Queso has been the single team that has improved the most. They took every single match as a learning opportunity, and then at the end, they were able to beat the team that people were calling, and I think are still calling today, Na'Vi, the best team in Europe, and they won it. They pushed it short to Game 5. It was a very long and very arduous task at hand, and yet they won it versus Na'Vi. So I think that they are one of the few teams that we're expecting to go straight to the finals, but unfortunately, they're in the same group as Na'Vi, so they're not going to be able to face up against each other in the finals. But it's going to be intriguing to see them potentially face off up against Na'Vi if they win, though, because they're going up against Qlash that they've been some pretty big surprises in their respective matches too. Like they won versus Trovanova. There was a team that was highly recognized at the start of the Baron fight. So Qlash could bring in some pretty big surprises versus Queso here.
Yeah, we'll take a look at the brackets here. As you did mention, Queso on the same side as Na'Vi here in the top hand half of the bracket. You can see, of course, at home, what matches will be coming up later on today. Every match will be broadcasted, so don't worry. If you're trying to watch a certain team in particular, we will be getting to it at one point today. As you see, Queso up against Qlash as our next game. Then Fast Play Wildcats up against Game Lord X Singularity. And then Tribe Gaming up against Trovanova at the very end of the day. Now, Excoundrel. We talked about Queso beating Na'Vi when it came to the grand finals of Baron fight, but I will say this. Na'Vi, I think, in only one of those 5 matches ever had a runaway game that we just saw against Vampire. And honestly, from Max's point of view, we're not really sure what Queso was able to do so well to prevent Na'Vi from having those runaway games. But obviously, a lot of the emphasis is going to go towards Ibu, one of the best Kaisa players I think we've seen in EU.
Yeah, but I do want to highlight Andre. I think he's one of the smartest junglers in wildrift. I think Andre is an absolutely phenomenal jungler, and a lot of the pace of the early game is set by the jungle, the pathing that they take, if they choose to gank, if they choose to just rush level 5 and set things up before the Drake fight. So I want to give Andre some credit. I think he's fantastic. Actually, I'm recognizing some names on Qlash Spain as well. X9 Fowlin, please, used to be an AOV player, an AOV pro as well. So he's got some experience in a competitive setting too. I know Saivek as well, the AD carry. There's a really, really strong AD carry player. You know, I don't think this is as one-sided as the first game here, Jason. I think we are looking at something that's a little more even, and I think we've got 2 really strong teams sort of matching up against each other in the first round.
I do want to point out for you guys as well, and for Max, you and I thinking back to Qlash and the games we did have, Aemon Legend originally was a support player for the team in that event, and he's now transitioned into the Baron lane, while the noob, who was their jungler, has transitioned over to support lane, bringing in Fowlin as their jungler. So for me, that's interesting because we have seen some players switch out positions, but this is quite a lot of changes within the Qlash side.
Yeah, also because Aemon Legend was my favorite player and still is my favorite player for the side of Qlash. So I do think that now into the Baron lane position, he's going to be able to maybe be a little bit more decisive when it comes down to actually getting win conditions for his team. So I think this is actually a really good idea because he was a very aggressive support. As you mentioned, he was playing in the support position beforehand. But he's going up against Acolyte. And well, Jason, like we've seen Acolyte play quite a fair bit from Team Queso, and he is a handful. He will backdoor your game. He will play Fiora. Well, Fiora typically should be banned. It was banned all last series.
He'll get banned.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's going to get banned away. But Acolyte, I don't know. I'm intrigued to see if Aemon Legend is ready because that's going to be a really hard one.
And for me, Excoundrel, like you look at most of the matches we have, even if one team is stand out better than another team, when it comes to the laning phase, we don't really see that dominating play happen. It mostly comes towards these team fights. So I would hope that both these players in the top lane can still kind of go head to head without losing the lane too heavily.
Yeah, what's so funny about the Wildrift laning phase, especially in competitive, it lasts about 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So you have a very, very short time to actually kind of impact in a 1v1 or a 2v2, where before you start seeing these crazy rotations come out after Dragon and people just tend to snowball towards those objectives. But as you mentioned, Acolyte, he's a very aggressive top laner. I'd be very interested to see how the sort of the solo lane picks go here, Jason, as we head into draft.
Yeah, we're going to get right into it, of course. Team Queso and Qlash Spain are going to be I'm going to say the Spanish face-off into this one. Team Queso and Qlash Spain, of course, from Spain themselves. So we're going to see what's going to be coming on through into this second series of the day. And the winner of this one, by the way, will be facing up into the semi-finals up against Na'Vi. So that's going to be a lot of action happening throughout today and also tomorrow. The first bans are coming on through Ziggs. Are we surprised? I mean, not really, Excoundrel. We're hoping to see Ziggs banned every single game today. If not, I'm going to be quite surprised. And Gragas also, you're going to be taking that flex champion away off the board right off the bat. So I'm not against it whatsoever, but knowing Team Queso, and I'm a big fan of Memorize in that support role, if you play against him, I would recommend the Qlash to ban away the Braum. He's fantastic on that champion, and I think that if you have a Braum picked by someone that knows the intricacies of the champion to its full depth, I think that would be a really good second or third ban coming out from Qlash, as they do indeed go for the Braum ban.
Yeah, the Ziggs is not fun to play against, so I'm glad that it's gone. Braum, the best support in the meta, in my opinion. I am seeing some heavy targeting towards A-Man here in the top lane. To make a transition from support to Baron lane is a very interesting transition, because I've done it myself, so I kind of know what the process is like. When you play support, you're used to playing these more tanky, low mechanical intensity champions, like the Gragas in the top lane, like the Galio even, things like the Malphite, for instance. Whereas if you go into a carry top laner, they'll look to want to abuse that. And Gragas is one of the safest Baron laners that you can pick up, especially if you go tank Gragas. But the Diana is not banned. 100% Diana pick ban in the tournament thus far, and it is going to be first picked up here for Ruiz.
I'm scared, man. We got Fiora open. I don't know. If Acolyte gets his hands on that one, I'm scared. I'm scared for Qlash Spain's life. We'll see, though. Iman Legend, being the new Baron laner, intrigued to see if he might be actually willing to play that one. The Camille also making it on through, but they're going to go for Corky Lux. Lux, I mean, not surprised despite the feudal changes. She's still a really, really strong champion. We saw her played really well in the first game, so picked this time around. Those Binding Lights are going to be a real handful to deal with for the side of Team Queso. And the Kai'Sa, I wanted to also mention the Kai'Sa. There's so many champions that I did not expect to make it through the ban phase, but Kai'Sa makes it through. We saw how well and how strong it can be in the hands of Mumu for Na'Vi, and I think that you're looking at the other side, especially Ibu, that at the start was a great misfortune.
Yes,
players big.
Let's
there you go. Okay, I was looking on the side. Rengo.
Yeah. I want to talk about this. Obviously, the Kai'Sa, Jason mentioned that Ibu is a great Kai'Sa player. He's completely correct. Like, that's a really big pickup. I'm already seeing a nice wombo combo coming through. That is going to be a Camille in the top lane with the Janna here. Beautiful comp coming out from Team Queso, but the Rengar. This is the interesting pickup. Rengar is... You wouldn't classically consider Rengar an S+ tier pick in League of Legends, but in Wild Rift, his clear speed, in the way that the speed at which he clears camps in the jungle, is absolutely obnoxious, because his first ability is an empowered basic attack, and you're going to get that conal empowered basic attack, which clears the jungle super quickly. And it allows him to hit level 5 very quickly, which allows him to have that ultimate and just sort of like run through and find ganks. So I'm interested to see if he can make this work. The problem with Rengo is you kind of need to snowball him. If you get to the point in the game where you're very even with the enemy jungler, or you haven't been able to pick up kills in either of the side lanes, you're not in a great spot. So
okay, so I'm looking at this. I'm really intrigued because you've got a Lulu with a Rengar. So he pounces on you, a small kitty, then his big kitty the moment he's on you. So I'm going to be really hyped to see. Also, they could pop the Wild Growth coming out from the noob on A-Man Legend on the Garen. This is also a Garen, man. I'm loving this. This is so many champions that I wanted to see played, and they're all on the side of Qlash. You got the Garen, you got the Lulu, you got yourself also Fallen that's going to be then playing this Rengar. It's a weird comp, but I'm just happy to see these champions because I really wanted to see it played, though I think it's a composition that's good for initially engaging. If they're trying to escape from a fight, they're going to struggle. And Acolyte on that Camille didn't go for the Fiora, by the way, but that lockdown of the Hectic Ultimatum plus the Cyclone of Andres said, you said one of the smartest European jungle to date. I think that if you see Team Queso being the team to harass and engage, I think Qlash are going to be really struggling in these engages.
We've actually got a lot. I didn't know whether this was actually the case, but we have got a Lux Lulu bot lane.
I thought she was going to be mid.
Yeah,
I thought it was going to be like ADC.
I thought it was going to be Corky.
Yeah.
It's Lux Lulu bot lane. You have a lot of slow potential. You have a lot of easy ways to land your binding here. The lane prio that you're going to get is absolutely insane. And this is really interesting. Qlash are running a very kind of like focused single target pick comp, right? Like they have a lot of single target lockdown. They have a lot of ways to burst individual carries. So let's say you burst out Ibu very early on into the fight. You're already in a really good spot in these team fights. And I think that's where Qlash are going to be looking to sort of flex their muscles with this particular composition. Whereas it's a more standard wombo from Team Queso. Like the Diana and the Wukong, they link up really nicely with their ultimates. That's what we're expecting a bit more of, especially around those first dragon fights from Team Queso. Very interesting comp from Qlash, though. I love the creativity here. Although, what I would say about that top lane matchup, this is a matchup that Camille should win. It's very difficult for Garen to trade versus that big physical damage shield that the Camille gets from her passive. Sorry, the Garen to trade from versus that shield. So just expecting Amen to be a little more defensive in that top lane matchup.
Just to give an idea here, Fallen, okay, he's maybe going to take the fight, going to be able to hop on over onto Andrew's head, forcing the flash already outwards. He's going to be committing once again, gets the empower basic attack, and a kill's going to get picked up by Victim. I'm going to say KS, but you know what? Still first blood. And yeah, Rengar, the reason why he did that, look at the jungle. Look at the cam still up. He cleared one jungle and a half. On the other side, there's only one side of the jungle cleared away for this side of Andrew's head. So it really shows that clear speed you mentioned early on really working in favor for Fallen to be able to actually set up that fight in mid.
Yeah, and also, like, he just got towards that. I think, Andre was not expecting Fowlin to be at that River Scuttless point around the mid lane that early on.
Fast, yeah.
Exactly, and he was there super early. And unfortunately, Andre just wasn't expecting it. It just allowed Fowlin to get the initial jump. And of course, when you find that initial jump as Rengar, you're going to build up.
He's already 5.
He's already 5 at 2 minutes into the game. This man is already level 5. But Team Queso are very aware they're going to back off.
Oh my god, he popped the ulti there, so he was looking for the opportunity, unfortunately not able to get it, but he's going to go back to farming and clearing those waves those jungle camps, not waves should I say, but real quickly. So, this is looking already a little bit scary though. Bottom side, you're going to see a bit of poking coming on through. So Lulu Lux, I'm not too sure what to really expect. I know it's going to be very obnoxious in the early game, but especially thanks to the Janna, you got those shields, so that poking could be at least diminished in many big ways. So I do think that we're going to see both Memorize and Ibu deal with that matchup pretty easily. But I think that when it comes down to the team fights, that's when you're really going to see both the noob and Savek really going to be bringing a lot of utility, a lot of engaged potential for the team. So I'm not expecting him to have a dominant early stage, but once those 5-on-5s start happening, that's when the Dragon lane from Qlash is really going to start to put big time pressure on Queso.
Imagine how much shielding you're going to give to the Corki and the Rengar this game. If you stick a Lux shield on him and a Lulu shield and a Rengar jumps in, then you just use the wild growth onto Rengar. How nutty is this Rengar carry going to be if you can get him set up in these team fights? A lot of pressure on Fowlin's shoulders here to kind of snowball that early advantage, that early lead that he picked up. And I definitely think with this kind of comp you can do it. You also have the backup of the Corki as well. I really like this. Is a really interesting comp from Qlash. I've never seen anything like it, but maybe the release of Rengar has given you more carry potential from the jungle, and Qlash have kind of built around that potential for this Rengar to be a much more of a threat in these team fights.
Yeah, just saw in the item path, by the way, the Rod of Age is now being purchased away by Brewers, so he's going to be able to hit the power spike of that item in the next 5 minutes. So that's going to be once we hit the just about 8-minute mark, we're going to get to that point. Though Acolyte going to be taking a pretty big fight with Amen Legend. Not going to be going any further for the time being. The Mountain Drake is now going to be up. So you're going to be seeing especially Lob of Control. The Scuttle is going to be up because we already have Fallen present. That's going to be priority to them for that position. They're going to have Vision in that position for the long run. So already this is looking really good. Qlash pin on a really good show. The gold lead, though, is even Steven, despite getting that 500 gold lead over to Fallen with the first blood. Actually did go in favor of Victim in the mid lane position. So I think that here they're going to be looking for a little bit of cross mapping. Seeing in the top side, we're going to see both Acolyte and also Andrew's Head trying to take the 1v2 on the tower. The nice shot from a distance, actually going to get a little bit of severe damage on Acolyte already. That snipe from a distance from Lux is enough to just make you sure that you're not going to commit. Bayman Legend going to pop the barrier, going to be able to jump away, gets a nice little silence on top of Riz. But he's still going to take so much damage, doesn't have the ult anymore. He will get actually cancelled mid-animation. That's the tower about to fall, but the Drake did go to the other side of Qlash, and now they're looking to potentially pick up the bottom tower to add some cross-mapping to the menu.
Well, I think if you just trade for this top bot lane tier 1, you're probably pretty happy picking up that first Drake of the game and then trading a tower for tower across the map. Honestly, Qlash played that as best as they could. They Lux ulted to clear the wave. They weren't bothered really about doing the damage to the champions. They were trying to clear the minion wave to make that tower dive a lot harder to execute on. But obviously, there's only so much you can do as A-Man by yourself in that situation. I think he played it to the best of his ability. I love the fact that he's going for a tanky build on the Gragas as well to be that annoying threat that's difficult to deal with. Qlash right now, despite the gold lead not being massively in their favor, has been playing the early game really well. They did as best they could in terms of cross-mapping turret for turret. Although they missed out on the first turret of the game, they did get that dragon to boot as well. And they've now gone for a lane swap. There comes the engage from Foul and gets the lockup.
Riz, be careful, the snipe comes out. Unfortunately, Final Spark will not be able to connect as the flash is going to be forced away. Big, though, able to force away that flash because now we got the Drake up. So you know that Diana will not be able to close that gap that easily once we're going to be getting this big skirmish over here in the top side of the river. So this should be coming on through very soon. The backport already came on through from Aman Legend, though we do have to mention. I thought he was going to go for the fight, but it seemed like they're going to leave it down to a 4v4. There's no teleports purchased. Just got to be careful. Down to already 50%. He is the jungler. He needs to stay healthy to make sure he can potentially get the sneaky steal and contest away that Herald, but unfortunately, that much damage early on is not going to be looking too good, but it seems like Qlash don't really want to push their luck. They're going to retreat, and now 5v5 currently happening in the mid lane. They are ready for a future fight. This should be happening normally very soon, unless not. They're going to be leaving.
Going to be the Rift Scuttler secured just to buy a bit more control around that Rift Herald area here for Team Queso. They are keeping themselves within very, very comfortable contest distance in terms of that gold value. They're actually ahead in gold now, opening that up to about 1,000 in their favor. So despite all the early efforts from Qlash, despite some really intelligent early play from this team, they are actually falling behind in gold to Team Queso right now. That Rift Herald rather has now been started up. This will be the time where you want to act if you're Qlash. You have got a strong jungler right now. He has got that Duskblade of Drakthar for that burst potential. The ultimate does get popped.
Memorize could be trying to put them away. Rengar right into this objective, but will not be able to steal it away. The Monsoon's going to be doing so much work, actually. Moonfall going to be able to grab them back in time, and that's going to be Victim already picked away so early on. Fallen did also lose his life. Seem like now this game's going back in favor of the side of Team Queso, and they're looking now to potentially convert that because the next Drake's going to be Ocean. That's a big pickup for them if they use it properly too.
I really think Qlash messed up here when they let that priority around Rift Herald go for free. Like, they have really good zoning tools. They have the Lux, they have the Lulu, the Corki as well with his rockets. You don't need to give that space up in the river for free because you have to force Team Queso to engage on you. Like, if you force Team Queso to engage on you, your peeling tools are absolutely incredible. You have the wild growth, you have the bindings, the slows from the glitter lances. They gave up that space around the Rift Herald for free, and then I think when it just came to the execution around the fight, Fowlin made the mistake. Used the ultimate. I think he tried to jump in onto Andre maybe to take him down, or was maybe looking to burst out the Rift Herald, but he wasted a really important tool that could be used to blow up a single member on Queso, and he disconnected himself from his team. The rest of his team was zoned away. He jumped too far, and the team could not follow up because the Diana was zoning them out, and the threat of the Diana ultimate was too great. As you saw, the execution on the Diana ultimate was really nice, and Qlash could not follow up on Fowlin's engage. That was just a little error in the way they executed that fight around the Rift Herald, which I think unfortunately has given away a lot of that good early game that they had.
Yeah, and also because we're now just about the 8-minute 30-second mark, that means the Rod of Ages has been stacked up. Maximum health and also AP ratio is going to be coming from the item for him. Acolyte's going to have to use the hook shot to jump over the wall to escape from the grasp of both Fallen and also Aman Legend. But though the Drake is up, going to be seeing, of course, the Scuttle's going to be traded away. Top Scuttle's going to go over to Fallen, so he's going to be able to spot those kind of rotations from the Baron lane bottom side. The Scuttle is not up for the time being, so they're going to have to wait for that one to spawn in a minute or so. But this is a pretty nice game. I've got to say, Qlash have definitely put in a really good show that I'm enjoying. The goal lead is really not that much, just all about 3,000 for a 9-minute game. That's not really too scary, but the Herald actually going to be used from pretty far away. Hopefully, we'll be able to get one ram forward onto the tower, but that's going to give them priority towards the river position to potentially initiate a Drake. This is how technically use it, but that's not going to be able to... Oh, actually dies right before.
Yeah, that's really good. Really good for Qlash, but it has allowed them to secure vision control of that dragon area. And that is now what you've got to convert into something meaningful. Oh, no. Fowlin over the wall.
They're going to get a 3-man CC. That's going to be some great engage coming out from Riz. They're not able to do anything after those shields are looking already real scary. Saver going to be able to heal a bunch more with that one. Riz maybe biting down more. He can actually chew. We'll have to move away from that tower for the time being. Back to the safety of his first mid tower. The Drake is still up. And I think that because of that damage, Qlash are feeling very confident to go for that initiation on the objective. Also, you can see on the minimap, the objective, the vision is really lacking. They're going to have to go in. Oh! Nice triple man knockup. That's some great CC into the killer instinct. Ibu, though, is going to instantly regret that decision. Focus mainly the target onto the Rengar. And now Qlash got to disengage because they're suffering. Aman Legend is like, hey, boys, you just forgot about me. But now he's starting to take a little bit too much damage. Could go for a little bit of a smite if he needs onto the likes of Andrew Zeddy. He is going to be pretty slow, but that Drake is instantly going to be smited away. Tries to go for the steal. Nothing comes on through from Savek. And now, because they put so much damage, they might also want to pick up an extra tower off of it in mid. But I think, yeah, okay, they're not going to go for it. I think that would be the better decision from Team Queso.
The problem is, this is why you're seeing why Rengar is so useless in teamfight situations. Like, unless you're able to be proactive and get the jump, either before a team fight or you're the one initiating with the Rengar, if you're just sat there, like, awkwardly trying to find a target to basic attack as Rengar, especially when you don't have any brushes around to jump from, Fowlin just got obliterated Like, nothing he could do. And Camille is a really good answer into Rengar for the reason that if Rengar shows himself out of his ultimate or whatever, Hextech ultimatum, what's Rengar going to do? Nothing. A cat stuck in a cat cage, and he can't get out. And so that's the problem for Rengar here. You need to snowball him really hard. And it felt like Fallon had a really good start to the game, but wasn't able to convert it. His first ultimate didn't really work out for him. And that's another big reason why Rengar's good. Rengar's really good for the reason that, as we're going to keep an eye on A-Man here, actually may get caught out.
Yeah, Hectic Ultimatum is going to try and seal his fate. Goes to knock up from the Wild Growth, but still, that's going to be one ultimate also down the drain for the support of Qlash. So, not available for the foreseeable future, unfortunately, for them. Mid tower would be the main thing that's going to give them priority because so many fights happen in the jungle right now. I think that this first mid tower, whichever team gets it, is going to get a huge advantage in this game.
Sure.
But you can see the gold lead starting to build up for Team Queso. Qlash need to get back into it because the more time they give away, Team Queso are going to build a lead that's going to be really hard to come back from.
Yeah, I want to just kind of point back to how Fallon maybe missed his opportunity in the early game here. That first ultimate, like the whole reason that Rengar's good in the jungle is you can hit level 5 quickly and then use your ultimate to impact somewhere, right? You can use level 5 ultimate really quickly into the game before anybody else is even level 4 sometimes, and just instantly burst the target and start snowballing your gold lead. He used his first ultimate, it was not successful. That kind of diminishes part of the reason why Rengar is picked, especially in the solo queue aspects, but you're also seeing why Rengar may not be a great choice for competitive here. A lot of teams are a lot more wise about how to play around Rengar and how to kind of diminish his snowball potential. And I think that's what we're seeing from Team Queso. They just realized that, play it safe, don't give Rengar any early opportunities to go crazy, and we're not going to have too much of an issue versus him. And unfortunately, as you can see from Fallon, hasn't really been able to convert on that first catch onto Andre. And Andre, all respect to him, 100% kill participation for his team so far. Yes, okay, he made an early mistake in the river, but he has more than made up for it with how he's played the rest of the game.
Yeah. Also, I just realized there's no Harmonic Echo actually getting purchased away by Savek on this Lux. So that's going to... I thought that would have been pretty
Lux,
nice.
Right? No,
he's going for the full carry
Lux
Lux on this one. I would have liked to see that potentially come on through. As you mentioned, I think especially putting that extra shield and also healing potential to the likes of Fallen would have been really strong. But you know what? You could still decide to build it later on if he wants. But the AP Lux is... I would say he's definitely doing some interesting damage, but he's just not able to actually convert any of those in kills, at least for now. So just things are just seeming to slip out of the hands of Qlash for now, so we'll see if they can potentially try and get himself back into it later on. Though this is just map rotation coming up on both Team Queso and Qlash. Nothing coming on through for now, at least. The GA is going to be up for Andrew Z, so he's allowing himself to be a little bit more adventurous for the time being. But the next Drake is going to be Cloud, is going to be up in just the next 45 seconds or so. So that should be the next big skirmish between these two teams just about to happen in the very, very near future.
It just feels like right now Qlash are slowly bleeding out. Like, how do they get back into this game? What is their game plan? How do they intend to win fights? They can't win on the split push because you've got Tank Gragas, and eventually, like, Camille beats tanks because of her true damage application. Like, her second precision protocol is true damage, and that just allows her in the late game to outperform tanks in almost every side lane matchup. So you're not going to win in the side lanes. Are you going to win in the team fights? Doesn't look like it. Doesn't look like you know how to execute properly here. It doesn't feel like there is the synergy that you were looking for with that Lux, like, Rengar Lulu pick that you were aiming for. And I think the only other avenue right now for Qlash, and it looks like that's what they're playing towards, is hard funneling and hard sort of putting pressure on. Oh, yeah, we've got a bit of an engage here.
Oh, a bit of an engage. Big engage. Sevik did get themselves the Wild Growth into the set. Okay, well, the fight just barely begun and it's already over. At least they picked themselves 2 kills. And Acolyte, are you going a little bit too overzealous? I think so, but you know what? He's not going to be going right to the full extent of that fight. Memorize going to try and get a little bit of a knockup. But now they got 2 kills. The Baron is up. They got the man advantage. They're going to threaten it. They're going to try and pick it up. It's very typical coming out from Team Queso as to what they did in the Baron fight. And there's nothing Qlash can really do. They're going to try and contest it away, but got to be careful there, especially Victim. Memorized a little bit too fast. Still has the Monsoon to potentially try and push him away if needed be. But no, he's going to be smited away instantly and put straight back into the fountain. The big kitty is dead. No smite to steal it away. And that's going to be easy secured by the Monkey Boy of Andra said. Now it's just going to be time to clean up the entirety of the Wildrift here. Victim goes golden, but it doesn't change anything. That was almost... actually, was the ace just on time as the Savek and also the noob were able to respawn. But that is just a dominant fight, and there was no competition on the other side.
Yeah, I mean, it felt a little dicey right there for Team Queso. Like, they went for a risky Baron. Corki still had to package up. Like, there was definitely ways that could be turned in favor of Qlash. But unfortunately, just not enough damage output from Corki. And actually, if you've noticed what's been going on for this entire game, if you look at the positioning of Victim on the map, he has been in a side lane pretty much not interacting with the rest of his team for the majority of the game. And they've been funneling gold into him in the sense that they were looking for a late game Corki win condition. Corki scales incredibly well. His damage output is absolutely insane when he gets 4 to 5 items. And that's, I think, where Qlash were trying to sort of activate a side win condition out of this game. However, he's not there yet, and he needs a bit more time to even become that sort of threatening carry. And even if he gets to that point, you still have a Camille who can lock you into a Hextech ultimatum with a very threatening Diana as well. So whilst I really appreciate like the attempted activation of a secondary win condition here for Qlash, I'm not sure it's going to work out in the long run because Team Queso have the tools to deal with it.
I think it died in the egg in some way for sure. And also, the longer this game goes, the better it's going to be for Eevee because he's a great late game playing champion here. You play this Kai'Sa, he's going to have so many ability upgrades under his belt, so he's already looking really set with how many items he has already in his arsenal. That's going to be the dive into the Moonfall. Picks up only one target, but that's still worth it at the end. You get the man advantage off of that. They're all under the Nexus, taking a lot of damage. Eevee having to go gold, and be still full HP into that one. He was going to be completely fine. And now it's just going to be easy pickup time. They're taking everyone down. Pick up 1, 2, 3, and 4, looking for the final potentially, and that is going to be all said and done as the Nexus falls on down. You can only close it off with a Corgi butt, and that is going to be Team Queso taking themselves game number 1 versus Qlash in very, very dominant fashion.
Really, really great stuff from Team Queso. I think you're seeing the power of Diana as a first pick on blue side. Clearly insane power versus these squishy backline champions like the Lux and the Lulu, just dragging them in with the Moonfall over and over again. B, like the power of Acolyte in the side lane, just constantly applying pressure. Garen, you really had no chance versus the Camille there. But also, like, I think for Qlash, they drafted an interesting comp. They drafted something that was a little unique. I think it clearly had the chance to work out, but they just weren't able to execute on it. And I think that was one of the problems, that they just didn't quite know how to make this work in a team fight situation. And without getting single target picks, it didn't really feel like they had the legs when it came to strict 5v5s.
Yeah, and I kind of feel bad for Fowlin because as the Rengar, like, he would kind of be the first one to go in, which, as we've seen, kitties can be extremely squishy, but you do have the Lulu, you do have the Lux to potentially support him. It feels like, though, Qlash didn't ever get the engagement they wanted to make this composition work, but I highly respect the difference in the composition, right? We saw the Lux Lulu, and we thought it was going to be a Lux mid, and we thought it would be Corki with Lulu in the bot lane as a duo and support, but I like the experimentation. Unfortunately, it just didn't really seem to work at all, Max.
I mean, I would not personally recommend to experiment, knowing it's single elimination, right? So that's already them one game closer to actually just leaving the tournament entirely. So I would experiment in round robins. I understand if you want to do it, that's fine. But in this kind of format where single elimination, I would not agree here.
I would add a caveat. I'm sure they've tested this in scrims. I'm sure they've tested this in scrims and it's had some success, and they haven't come into this game completely blind with a Rengar in the jungle. I just want to throw a little damage stat out there for you. Fowlin did 6,253 damage this game. Lulu did 6,514. Fowlin did the least damage to champions in this game. And that's not a problem. That's not his fault. It's just the fact that Rengar versus this type of team comp, unless you have that synergy with the Lulu and the Lux, so every time when you're looking for the engage, Rengar sucks in team fights, dude. Like, the point of Rengar is to kill someone very quickly and force a 4v5 man advantage. Because all Rengar can do is ult and jump on someone and just slap him in the head with his knife. If he jumps in and doesn't get the kill, or if he jumps in and just doesn't find the right target, he's a fish out of water. Rengar's not supposed to be designed to kind of sit there and actually play a proactive team fight. And yeah, unfortunately, as Jason said, they didn't quite find the synergy between the Lux, the Lulu, and the Rengar, and that was what was really holding them back. And they had that one moment, really great moment, 3 minutes into the game or so, or whether, or even 2 minutes into the game, really great moment, and it was a little bit lackluster from there on out.
I think we do need to give a little bit of attention towards Team Queso, though, with Memorize picking the Janna, because obviously as a support, that's probably one of the best supports you could use against a Rengar, because you just pop your Monsoon, you completely throw him away from whoever he's trying to blow up instantly, and then it's like a kitty on the loose, which eventually is going to get cleaned up. So I do want to bring attention towards something else as well here, Max. Again, we talked about before the match began, Team Queso, they did beat Na'Vi in the finals of Baron fight, but they seem to lack the explosive kind of style that we see a Na'Vi be able to pull off. Like, it was still a grind for them. It wasn't necessarily like they lost control, but they didn't pull off a landslide victory when they did have the initial start. And I think that's a really interesting aspect to an identity of the team, where Team Queso seemed to play very methodical and very careful, whereas Na'Vi on the other side seemed to just want to just mow you down.
Yeah, typically, like compared to Navi, their playstyle is more like we have a good game early on. Like they could have a goal lead or not, it doesn't really matter. But there's that one team fight, they win, and then they just unlocks the entirety of that game. It opens the door to success for them, and they just get 2, 3, 4 towers. They get themselves the jungle objective, potentially get themselves the Baron, and we saw that fight happen very early, I would say, for them. And when they got that fight, it made them, I think it was about 5,000 goal lead, if I'm not mistaken, and they kept that goal lead for a really big portion of that game. And then they just kept building something on top of that. So it was that one pivotal moment that they acquired, and then it just fell out of relevancy for Qlash.
My comparison between the two teams would be this. Na'Vi are incredibly gifted mechanically in teamfight situations. They will outplay you in skirmishes. They'll generate gold leads through these pure outplay potentials. Queso have a very good understanding of map pressure. They understand how to control minion waves. They're one of the best teams that I've seen, especially through Acolyte, control side lane wave pressure. They have a very good macro understanding of the game and when to fight and trade for macro objectives as well. And so for me, that speaks to that methodical play style that you mentioned, Jason. Just that ability to know, even just from the pure minion wave sort of level, what they want to do in terms of control on the map. And if you could go back and look at that game. Look at how many times Acolyte was pressuring out Iman in the side lanes. Look at how many times he was just sat there creating minion wave pressure, keeping the Garen away from the rest of the map, and shoving minion waves in to make sure that victims stuck there farming in a side lane as well. Just they understand the way to play the map. I'm not saying that they're not as good in team fights. They absolutely are. If they beat Na'Vi, they can definitely match them mechanically. But you know, Queso have got a really good understanding of map pressure and macro, whereas Na'Vi, they do, but they seem to get their edges through these pure mechanical outplays and really, really explosive team fights. And they utilize that gold lead to springboards where macro doesn't become as important then because you just have such a strict advantage in terms of gold that it doesn't matter.
Well, as you said, Max, it is a single elimination tournament, and we're going to head into our draft here for Game 2 between these two teams. Let's throw it straight into this and see if we can have Qlash maybe experiment with something a little bit different. I'm curious to see if we're going to have the Rengar come into play, but we're going to find out here right now.
I'm okay with seeing the Rengar coming on through there, Jason. I think it's okay, but you don't want to waste that ultimate instantly when you hit level 5, right? You want to use it and potentially convert it into another kill. You got one. You want to try and see something built up. So hopefully that's what's going to be coming on through. Though, I'm not going to lie, I would like to see a Dyna ban. I would like to see especially a Kai'Sa ban. I think those two champions, especially the Dyna, was doing a lot of work. So I'm hoping to see that get banned away as Qlash is now to the blue side. They're going to have that #1 priority pickup. But as usual, there you go. The Dyna's going to get banned away. But the Braum and also Ziggs, not really too much of a surprise as you start the ban phase.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, you know, Fiora still on the table for Acolyte if he would like that. Didn't go for it in the last game because obviously Camille. I would say Camille is a little bit more of a flexible Fiora. Like Camille has more ability to kind of influence team fights. You know, the Hextech Ultimatum is unparalleled in terms of single target lockdown. Fiora's much more that 1v1 side lane pressure champion where her team fight presence is not as strong unless she's like really far ahead. But let's see. Well, let's see. I mean, Qlash have got that first pick. The Kai'Sa gets taken away from Ibu, and that is, again, something that we've seen 100% pick ban so far. And I think it's been 100% pick, actually, just in the tournament overall. So Kai'Sa clearly at the top of that AD carry priority list right now. She's super strong.
I mean, yeah, no surprise. Like, Kai'Sa is just a must pick. Of course, the Zai's still been open. The Ezreal got banned away, so you could potentially see that one coming on through, though. It's going to be the good old Corki coming out. So this one we saw it get played in mid last game when they had the Lux and also the Lulu played into the bottom side of the map. So we could see him played in mid again, even though I would prefer to see an ADC if they go for something somewhat similar to what Qlash played. But it still opens up an opportunity to go for that Zai pickup later on down the line. And Andrew Zed with the Wukong. I mean, we had some fantastic triple, 4-man, even potentially 5-man knockups at the end with those double stack of Cyclones. So Andrew Zed, he knows exactly what he's doing with the Monkey Boy. And Fiora, there you go. This is going to be the first time we're actually going to be seeing Fiora picked in this tournament. So I'm extremely hyped to see how that's going to be coming on through, yeah.
There isn't a great answer into Fiora in the Baron lane. I wouldn't be surprised to see Yasuo for Acolyte. I think there are very few like solid top lane picks that do well into Fiora overall. The Gragas being banned, but even then, Fiora is really good into the Gragas. So this is an interesting matchup. Acolyte knows this champion in and out, and so therefore he'll know how to play the play around her. The Lee Sin for the first time, not banned away, I think, is going to get picked up here by Fowlin. Fowlin, I know, is a good Lee Sin player, and it is a tough matchup for the Wukong in the early game. Really seeing everything thrown out into this game for Qlash because it could be their final one of the tournament.
Yeah, and you talked about it actually during the very first BF3 series of the day here, Excoundrel, talking about the fact that Wukong and also Lee Sin, like Lee Sin is going to win that matchup. So typically you want to try and make sure that you know exactly how the rotation comes on through from the Lee Sin play by Qlash, and he's going to be rotating in a way where he takes the opposing scuttle. So you don't want to see that skirmish coming on through for Team Queso, because I don't think with this composition they would be fully ready and prepared for it. They do closed off with the Darius though. That's going to be played by Acolyte in the top side versus A-Man Legend. It's going to be good because you're going to have also potentially some anti-healing built in this kit. He's going to go potentially for Bramble Vest, which I think versus A-Man Legend, that'll be really strong. But yeah, Darius here in this comp, I don't really have too much of an issue against that one whatsoever. But man, I'm seeing once again the new, we're seeing another Nami played here.
It's Yasuo bot lane.
I just love to see it come.
It's Yasuo bot lane.
Is Yasuo bot lane then? Oh yeah, actually, because Ebu swapped. Okay.
Yeah. Yasuo bot lane for Team Queso here, which is really interesting. Obviously, Yasuo Wukong is a tried and tested combo that spans the length of time, and obviously, really good teamfight lockdown. It does rely on Yasuo doing well, and interestingly, the Acolyte going for the Darius into this Fiora matchup. Fiora is relatively good into Darius. Her riposte can actually block his ultimate if timed correctly. So just interesting. I'm really interested to see how Acolyte plays this one out, because, Iman should have the advantage in this matchup here, which may put a bit more pressure onto Team Queso overall. I really love... Ebu's on cookie, so the graphic was wrong. So it's not Yasuo bot lane. I mean, that's not completely unsurprising. Yasuo bot lane has been played, but it's usually played in conjunction with Gragas support, which is why it was a little more interesting to see the fact that we had a Janna Yasuo bot lane. But yeah, Corki AD carry, talked about it, very strong in the Southeast Asian meta. We've seen it quite a lot recently.
Yeah, especially you're going to have the Wukong on top of that one. So I do like this one, even though we do see the monkey. It's Androsed. He doesn't have a name, but he's still called Androsed. So we're going to have to go with that one. But yeah, the Cyclone into the Final Breath, that is a very well-known wombo combo you can play, especially with Malphite, but Malphite not going to be into this one. And not played at all today, very surprisingly enough. So I'm hoping to see that potentially played in the next two series after this one, or potentially in the semi-finals or finals later on. But I'm sure we'll see some Malphites eventually, though, in some rotation coming out from Fallen, and he's already looking for the action. The bubble is going to be a little bit wide, not quite able to connect on Memorize. The flash is already going to be going wide. This Ebu is going to be also taking some pretty severe stat damage. Even though they don't get the kill, it's still some natural pressure. They're going to have to use the honey fruit, so that's still going to be a small advantage coming in the way of Qlash, but he's going straight for the jungle. He wants that blue buff or just some deep vision, one or the other.
I think he's just trying to get control around this River Scuttler, and actually really sensible from Andre. Knows that he doesn't have bot lane. This is Vampire can learn from this. He doesn't have bot lane prio, so he immediately paths straight towards that top lane scuttle. He saw that Lee Sin wasn't at his blue. He may actually go for a blue invade onto Lee Sin here to trade blue buffs across the map. This is super intelligent from Andre, just knowing that he can't play towards that bot side, relying on them for pressure around that River Scuttler, and he won't actually fall behind in the jungle because of this. And in fact, the fact that Fowlon only went for 2 camps on his red side means that Andre will actually remain ahead in the jungle matchup.
Yeah, and he's now going to try and roam his way into the mid lane position. I mean, he doesn't have level 5 yet, so he's not going to be having that Dragon's Rage, can't get the kick forward, so not going to be resulting in too much. I think he was maybe looking for information about the monkey, Androsed, though, going to go straight back to base. So yeah, that scuttle, double scuttle control, not going to be going in favor of Qlash whatsoever. It's fine. I think definitely that the early game here, Qlash is definitely looking a little bit more slow paced for sure. They haven't got that first kill like they did earlier with Rengar in game 1, but that's fine. I don't think it's something is required for you to get a game. So things are just going to be a little bit slow in this one. And though it seems like they're going to try and shove this wave under tower, maybe deny a little bit of a CS and also gold away from the likes of TQ. But it's still going to be a very fast rotation from both Ebu and the genre played by Memorize. So they're going to be good. And also Memorize has been playing a lot more of these Enchanter supports. I mentioned it at the start. He plays an exceptionally good Braum, but he got banned so much, and I think that Genre by far is his second best champion, so he showed it last game too that he is really good on that champion.
They're the 2 best supports in the meta right now, so any good support should be really strong on both of those champions. Acolyte has to be a little careful with your vital locations versus a Fiora, especially Fiora that runs Grasp of the Undying, because she can essentially build up the Grasp of the Undying stacks over 4 seconds in combat, lunge, hit your vital, and deal a boatload of damage to you, especially as that Darius. But now Darius is 5. You do have the outplay potential. You do have the ability to trade with your ultimate. And actually, you can see Iman forcing to flush away here. That's Acolyte flexing his muscles post level 5.
Yeah, gonna have to flash away from that one instantly, so that's not going to be up for the foreseeable future. Full commit, gonna have the grand challenge onto Acolyte, but he's got the Burrow too, making sure he's not going to commit under tower. Gotta respect play coming out from him, but that's the Burrow not going to be available. Same for the flash also, so that's 2 summoners already down the drain, which compared to the other side, you're going to be seeing Man Legend also doesn't have those available. So they're going to be down just to fight it up against each other, but you can see that passive is going to be on the right side, so he can't get close. He needs to wait for it to reset. Acolyte, as you said, Excoundrel has to be respectful if it spawns on the wrong side.
Actually, Fallon now making his way up. This should be easy. Actually,
oh, yeah. Dragon's Rage, and you just can't escape from that one whatsoever. Bamos coming on through from Qlash. That's 2 games in a row they get the first blood. So definitely seem like they have got some good early game rotations. Good jungle rotate, especially from Fallen. And they're looking set, especially with the Drake now up. They could be trying to convert it into a kill, but because they got the jungle in the top side, this is a small priority over to Team Queso.
But again, they're cross-mapping. So
yes.
You know, they're very happy to try and take a tier 1 turret. The teleport from Darius, actually, on the top side of the map here. They're going to defend the first tower of the game and potentially pick up that dragon as well.
And Fallen's going to try and rotate, but this is it. So no cross-mapping. They're going to get potentially this one uncontested. Last time I said it didn't quite happen. Nice booking coming out from EB, and yeah, the smite comes on through. Mountain Drake coming their way. Ruiz going to roam into the mid lane position. Fallen still. He's going to be Lee Sin. He's going to be able to dash all over the place without too much of an issue. But no, he's going to get knocked up and instantly taken down by Ruiz. That's going to be a one-to-one trade-off in the grand scheme of things. They're going to go and trade the second one. He's going to be turning that Nami down into Sashimi, apparently, as Victim is going to be left stranded under the mid lane tower. On the bot side, great re-engage coming up from Savek, and the Corgi unfortunately loses his life along the way. 2-2 in this game so far.
2-2, but the advantage still just edging out here for Team Queso. They do have a slight gold lead, and actually flashes on to Savek. He'll drop. Jano will pick up the kill on Memorized. Yeah. The problem was Fowler's pathing coming from the mid lane. I'm not sure why he wanted to path into the river through the enemy blue side. He could have just walked down the mid lane and remained safe. I don't know if he was looking for a fight or maybe looking to clean up the scraps around the dragon. It just was, unfortunately, some pathing that didn't play into his favor. And Andre just able to immediately execute on that Yasuo combo to take Fowlen down. He has not got that GA, though. So the GA picked up for Fowlen. That's going to be able to keep him a little bit more safe in these team fights. But you can see that Team Queso have already initiated a lane swap. They want that Rift Herald. Fowlen looking to trade for first tower of the game, though, as they keep their bot lane on this side of the map.
Yeah, they tried cross-mapping earlier. Unfortunately, the teleport coming on through from Acolyte did deny that opportunity away. Now, this time, it's going to be working out just fine. They're actually going to try and go for mid-tower instead. So, Team Queso looking pretty aggressive. They want to get that one. Didn't quite get the first place. A lot of damage. Ruiz going to go for the full-on dive. Picks up one, maybe going for the double. The tower shot's doing a lot of damage, but he gets the double. Ruiz, absolutely godly on the Yasuo. They can't quite get the tower. Maybe they can get it. Oh, yeah, actually, they're going to... That's a lot of damage, actually. And they're going to go for the re-engage. The bubble does not quite connect, but because they got the kill, they're looking just fine. And now they're going to be just going straight back to base. This is actually a great pickup because they got the gold. They trade away towers, and also it's a mid tower, so that control is big. Why are you getting so close to Noob? You're not a brawl. We got to be careful, mate. Flash gone for literally no reason.
It's just pathing. It's just pathing from Qlash. Some pathing errors, like the Fiora paths dangerously through her own blue side jungle when they are sieging that tier 1 in the mid lane. She was asking to get killed in that scenario. Not the most sensible piece of play from Iman there. It's just small errors. It's just tiny errors from Qlash that are giving away so much over to Team Queso. And now Team Queso find themselves with a 3k gold advantage. They have a very solid presence on the top side of the map. They should be able to secure this Rift Herald for free, which should open up, again, another tower. That tier 1 in the mid being open allows them to be much more aggressive with their vision control in the enemy blue and red side jungle. This is Team Queso's game to lose once more, but Iman maybe looking to pressure out in the side lanes. Obviously, Fiora, a very strong side lane pressure. And no one there to contest her right now. Actually forcing a teleport out of Darius. Yeah, forcing a teleport out of Darius. But maybe Iman thinking that his best way of getting a victory is to be a little bit more aggressive in the side lanes.
Yeah, he's putting the Acolyte strat. He's tried to close off so many games by just split pushing and going for the backdoor. So he's going to try something pretty similar, which means that really Fiora is great when it comes down to that run. You said it, like, great for those split pushing scenarios to take those 1v1s or even 1v2s from time to time. Now we're going to see some big item purchase. And this is actually very late. And I would say Excoundrel, very late first item coming out from Man Legend. He just got himself his first tier 3 item. He's got himself the Triforce 7 minutes and 45 seconds in. That is a very late power spike to actually get your first item. So I'm a little bit surprised that actually came on through, but that's also because he did buy the teleport first.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head.
That's why.
He hit the nail on the head. He prioritized the teleport over the Triforce just because having that ability to respond to map pressure, he felt was more important. Hasn't actually had the chance to use it yet, but for Fiora, she's not looking to 1v1 right now. So therefore that Triforce spike being a little late is not the end of the world. You can see Darius hasn't yet picked up his Triforce either. Has got the Bramble Vest, which is one of the best counter items into Fiora if you're in the laning phase. Just a little tip for anyone that's interested. But, you know, it shouldn't be too much of an issue for Iman right now. He shouldn't be too worried about having that Triforce later into the game. It wasn't like he was snowballing the lane, right? It wasn't like he was like taking over the laning phase. So having a late Triforce, not the worst in the world.
Yeah, actually talking about Triforce, just got purchased by Acolytes. There's going to be even Steven in that fight. Teleport's coming on through. That's going to be Eman Legends, going to be the first to join the party. Bubble, actually going to be sucked away by the wind wall. He jumps over, falling, got to be careful. Big Dragon's Kick, not able to get the skill to steal, unfortunately. They're going to be moving away. Be careful, though. Monkey Boy, what's happening into the final breath? Yet no kills. Very, very surprising seeing how many of an engage came on through from Team Queso, but they did lose Andrew unfortunately. He did commit a little bit too early without his team. It did struggle. All of that for nothing really for Team Queso. So Qlash still have a chance. They still got the 5-man crew. They might be trying to convert that into a mid lane tower. That would be big for them.
Yeah, really, really nice, especially with the Jano Tornado. You can see how useful it is. There comes the wind wall as well. And now Team Queso looking to exploit the fact that they can chase a little harder in the mid lane.
Oh, the bubble's big, the 2-man knock-up, but not going to be a follow-up from Qlash, but still able to buy just enough breathing space for them to remove and extract himself away from that entire scenario. Though Baron's going to be up in 15, meaning that the next fight, if it is a dominant fight for one of these two teams involved, it could result with bigger repercussions on the long term if they take it right after.
I mean, I'd say Qlash are still keeping themselves in competitive levels. Like, they are not too far away in terms of gold. They still have that side lane pressure with the Fiora. You have 2 dragons, obviously, for Queso, but it's not an Infernal, so you still have that opportunity to kind of sort of bounce back with an Infernal. In fact, this game we're going to have an Elder Infernal to work with.
Oh, man.
Oh, A-Man. Oh, no.
Grand Challenge already going to be used away, so that's not going to be available for the foreseeable future, but that's going to be fine. At least he's going to be making it away with his life. Rotation from Qlash towards top side. So they want to have a priority, at least when it comes down to vision, it seems. They want to try and make sure they see exactly what's happening. The Herald's still actually up. I forgot about the Herald. I'm not going to lie, man. We're 10 minutes, 30 seconds in. That's a very late one, but they're going to be able to just let it slowly but surely take care of the bottom side. As Riz going to be dived upon. Going to have to go golden. Oh, he tried to go for the Dragon's Rage, but Riz went golden just in time. The knockup is going to be big, and he is going to be instantly taken down into the afterlife. As now that's going to be the man advantage over to Qlash, and they might be trying to convert it into even and better objectives. But bot side, that is still the Herald going full rampage mode, and that's 2 towers going to the name of Team Queso.
And they're going to look to try and trade for the mid lane tier 1 here, but the wave clear is just too good from the Corki. 2 towers for essentially a kill is absolutely worth it for Team Queso. You'll take that trade every single day of the week, and then they rally around that mid lane. Now Fowlin gets dunked on by Acolyte.
Really he's going to get knocked again. No way! Fallen makes it out alive. Able to I mean, he is Lee Sin, to be honest. I'm not too surprised. Nice little repost. Gives himself a little bit of damage, though. That was the fake monkey, so he's going to be making it away just fine. I want to clear away the bottom side especially. That's going to be A-Man Legend going to be on cleaning duty for the time being. But man, this is a very close game. Compared to game number 1, we would have already had the pivotal fight happen for Team Queso. Really seems like Qlash have learned a lot from that first game, and here they're actually looking to try and make it go to a game 3, which I gotta say, seeing how good Team Queso win the Baron fight, I was not expecting it, but Qlash really just taken down my expectations, so I'm loving to see this coming out from them.
Yeah, Qlash have been, I think, giving much more of a fight this time round. There is no massive snowball going in favor of Team Queso. Jason mentioned it. You know, Team Queso are not a team that generally tends to run away with the game like we see from Na'Vi. They play it very methodically. They don't take any huge risks. And again, it is Andre that is driving a lot of the skirmishes that you're seeing in this fight. Another 100% kill participation game for the jungler from Team Queso. So he's obviously the guy that's setting up a lot of these engages, the one that's really kind of forcing his team into the fights when they need to force them. But they are still in the lead. They are still kind of edging this one out right now. They have got that scaling potential of the Corki and the Yasuo. However, Qlash scale really well as well.
Oh, top side going to have the fight coming on through. GA still going to be up for Andrew. He's looking to re-engage the noob. Oh, yeah, man, he has to flash every time. He's just way too deep. Under tower, though, into the final breath. That's a really valuable target. There you go. I mean, that's going to be Civic already down. He's just doing so much damage in these fights. Huge, and now it's time to re-engage. Indeed, the shockwave is just going to be big. The bubble's going to be able to connect on Memorize. Got the shield, too. The noob's got to be careful. The teleport's there to back it up. A-Man Legend, the fact he was not there, enabled that engage for Team Queso. Now they got the fight. Now they got the advantage. What are they going to do with that now?
Dragon spawning, I think that's the safest option
Maybe,
for you.
I
Just
think
go
so,
straight over to the Cloud Dragon. I think that the Baron would be way too risky, especially with the fact that, you know, Cyvex is going to be up in just a matter of seconds. This should be relatively uncontestable for Team Qlash. And so Queso should get yet another Dragon for free here and set up for that Elder Inferno. We haven't yet seen an Elder in any of our games thus far. But this game is stretching out just a little further. Qlash are kind of holding on at every barrier in this game. Still feels like Queso are in the driving seat, though. Still feels like Queso, again, managing those waves really nicely, making really good macro decisions, good cross maps, especially around that Rift Herald usage, like you said. Yeah. They're just edging out the lead right now. And they're not giving that much breathing room to Qlash to kind of scale up and get their Orianna, their Fiora, and their Kai'Sa into the late game.
And the fact that they also got the Cloud Drake is going to enable all of those plays that they were already doing to make them a lot easier. They're going to be able to roam a lot faster, join on fights a lot faster too, so that's going to be actually really cool. And also they got memorized. Let's not forget with this passive, if you walk towards them, you're going to get some extra move speed. So they're going to be really zooming all over the place. So it's looking really comfortable for that at least. Though we're now going to be hitting just about the 15-minute mark, so this is going to be the longest game we had so far, potentially if it keeps on going for the long time. But the goal lead has been really climbing up, and you said it, they're still in the driver's seat, but bottom side, M and Legend is going to be caught out of position, going to be potentially knocked away, does not get hit by the tornado, memorized, never connected, but top side, another fight's going to be currently unfolding. Bubble able to bind off time, and Zed not going to be able to really close the gap just soon, and Fallen, he really wants to fight, but he's going to be going way too deep, and instantly cancelled away by the final breath of Riz. The bubble comes out, not able to go connect onto Riz this time around, but it doesn't matter, the health bars are just bleeding out for Qlash. They have two of their top players in terms of damage output already dead. And A-Man Legend, all we can really do is split push at this time with the Baron up. This is looking like Team Queso are looking to take the lead purely based off of that engage, off of that skirmish. But Riz, he's on the back line. He's going to go real Vamos onto that one. And Qlash losing their third. They got two still up. But for how long? Unfortunately, not long enough here. Excoundrel, as they take the ace and they take the Baron right off the bat.
Team Queso knew exactly when to pressure this game out. The best way to deal with a split-pushing team or a team that's trying to stall out is force their hand at neutral objectives. And Team Queso have been silently planting that vision, getting control around the Baron pit, forcing Qlash to walk towards them and engage the fight. Really great stuff from Queso. Great reactions around that fight where Fowlin thought that he'd found the engage that they needed to win. But you can see the power of Janna, especially the Rod of Ages first Janna, by the way. This is a build that I've seen quite a lot on the solo queue ladder. It gives you huge healing potential from your ultimate
tower?
Sorry, say again?
Mid towers, I thought he was going to get picked away by the minion wave for a second. Oh, you get picked up. There you go for free.
yeah, get it for free. But you can see the healing of this Janna is absolutely nutty. With the Monsoon and kind of the amount of healing he can bring back in these fights. It made them so healthy around the Baron pit, impossible to contest for Team Qlash, and just feels like Queso, just again, painting by numbers, just taking it step by step, but there's no real chance of them losing this game right now.
Yeah, with the gold lead over 10,000, it's looking very hard for Qlash to be able to make the comeback happen. I've already seen a 20,000 gold lead comeback, so you know what? Anything can happen, but definitely not looking too comfortable. These bubbles are just looking so good. Gets knocked away, going to be able to flash out. That final breath would have been the death of him if Riz was ready to go and fully commit to it.
God.
Man, that damage, what the hell? Corki, Ibu, what are you doing? They're really down to 50% HP with like one attack. And they just can't take the fight. They can't quite find Unit Towers. Going to go for the initiation. And there you go. The final breath of Yasuo. They're in the enemy base, but it feels like it's their very own base his time around. And just said, going to be going in GA respawn mode. So the Monsoon is there to heal them up and top up their health bars. Falling's going to be able to pick up a kill onto the Androsed, the opposing jungler. But it doesn't really matter. They pick up one in the tower. They're now going to be potentially looking for the second. If they're able to pick it up. I mean, the wave is there. Team Queso looking to maybe not close off the game now, but in the very, very close future, this game should be over.
As I said, though, painted by numbers. They want to take every single lane one at a time. Ruiz jumps in, killing spree for him, straight on to Victim, who gets bopped off by the Janna. And this should be the end of the game.
That's going to be it. Vamos, ladies and gentlemen. Vamos for Team Queso as they take down the opposing team from Spain. It's going to be Qlash, unfortunately, not able to make it to the semi-finals. But Team Queso here, they were one team that was just expected to really go find this tournament, and that means go up against Na'Vi in the semifinals. Jason, I'm hyped for that semifinals tomorrow, mate. That's going to be hype as hell.
I almost feel bad that they're going to be meeting in the semifinals. I was kind of hoping for a grand final meeting between those two teams. But, Andrew's at there. Excoundrel pointed out perfectly at a good portion of the game. Eventually did fall off. He had 100% kill participation as the jungler. And I was looking at the way he was doing that. And a lot of it seemed that whenever his flash was off cooldown, he would just flash in, Cyclone, get a knock up on the Savik, the Kai'Sa player from Qlash, and they would get an insta-kill with the final breath. It seemed like that was their go-to plan, their go-to strategy to win these fights early on, to give them that lead. But you can't doubt how good Ruiz is here on that Yasuo. We talk about Sky so much when it comes to mid laners, but him on the Yasuo there was phenomenal.
Yeah, he was really fantastic, and I got to be honest. I think this series maybe was closer than maybe people might be giving it credit for. When you look at it from a 2-0 perspective, you're probably thinking, "Wow, Queso really stomped this one." But honestly, Qlash gave a really good fight, very close series, and you can see just how much Qlash have come on. As you said, there's been a lot of roster shuffles on this team, and so they're obviously still finding time to build synergy. But I really do see a good future for Qlash. I think they have a really good team set up here. I think they could be very easily able to contest the likes of Queso and Na'Vi in the future. But as you said, I mean, Queso came into this as the favorites. More methodical, not as explosive as Na'Vi, but they got the job done and didn't really ever feel like the games were out of their control. And you mentioned it's going to be an insane semi-final, Queso versus Na'Vi, but I don't want to downplay the other two big heavyweights on the other side of the bracket in the form of Game Lord and Tribe. Those are two incredible teams in their own right. And so, you know, if those are the two top 4 teams, which I personally think, just based on what we've seen from them in the past, that will be our top 4 teams. We have got an insanely stacked, potential top 4 here. But as I said, there is some closer series this second half of the day, so I can't call it one way or the other just yet. But some great teams still to come.
Hey, that's what's going to happen when you have the best 8 teams in Europe going head-to-head. Now, Max, as we did touch on Qlash here, we touched on the roster changes that they have had happen. I feel kind of bad because I feel like we did see the roster changes come into effect in how they played in Game 1 and in Game 2. It seems like there was a mismatch of calls or communication. I feel kind of bad because the Noob had so many fantastic bubbles on the Nami in that last game, but there was no capitalization on top of that. He would get like 2, sometimes 3-man bubbles, but they didn't have like the players ready, the players in position, or maybe the players alive to make that initial start to a fight work in their favor.
Yeah, I mean, they were mostly using the noob as a way to create some breathing space, and seeing how Ruiz and also Andrzej were playing on their wombo combo with the Yasuo and the Wukong. I understand he was trying to make sure that they were not going to be able to close the gap, because if you get in range to be able to jump or flash over to instantly go into the Cyclone, then the final breath, it was going to be game over. That's why SaveX struggled so much in that game in the first place. So I understand why they were not using the Nami in a more aggressive manner. They were using it as a way to just try and keep them at arm's length, but you just can't do so because that bubble, it misses and they close the gap instantly. So I think there was a good idea. I still think the Nami is a very underrated support. I think she's got great healing in the early game. Her CC is outmatched if you hit the CC, that is. So I would like to see a lot more. Qlash tried, and unfortunately didn't quite work out, but seeing they did push, I would say, Queso in their last resort plans, I still think they deserve a lot of respect.
Yeah, I think we saw some good things out of them, and hopefully we're going to see some more good things in the future. But unfortunately, their tournament run has come to an end here. But now we have 2 teams coming up after a short break here. Fast Play Wildcats up against Game Lord, which can be a crazy game. And honestly, I'm kind of in the same camp as Excoundrel here. Excited to see exactly what Game Lord can do. But I want to point out one more time for you guys at home, Mobile Gaming Corp is doing a giveaway within the chat. If you guys type ! giveaway, you can be entered in to getting yourself, well, once you click the link and do the proper entries, to get one of the $10 to $50 gift cards being given away throughout the show at the end of day 2, at the end of tomorrow. So make sure you guys get into this one and come back from the short break, which is about 5 minutes time here for our 3rd series of the day.